And welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. Chris Adams, your podcast host, Retro Life for You. And this week we have another different guest host this season. I mean, I know we've had a couple I've thrown at you, but this week we've got someone that might sound a little bit familiar to you. Sir, can you introduce yourself so we know who you are?
What's going on, everybody? Okay, I was gonna try to go full Dutch Dallas, man, but I can't do it. It made me laugh too hard, too quick. What's up,
Yeah,
everybody? It's Travis back, man. I'm back. What's up? I might not be back for every episode, but I'm back for now, and that's what's important.
that is what's important for today. We have the return of the one, the only Dutch Dallas / Travis
That's
Robbins.
right. What's
Now,
happening? How have you been? How has the Retro Life family and fan base been?
I would say things have been going pretty good. We've had a couple of really good people step in and be co-hosts on the show. A guy named Tim that has a 80s Flicks podcast, and a girl named Sarah that does a podcast with her friend called Two Chicks Talking Flicks. They've been
Yep,
stepping
yep.
in and doing a really, really great job. I'm very glad that they've been available, and I'm sure I'll have some more with them here soon.
That's
Not sure what
awesome.
yeah, not sure what direction we're going to go as far as titles, but I know I've got one more upcoming this week that I've either got someone who is stepping in, or we are going to be having a relative of yours, one cousin by the name of Chili Ray
Oh, it wouldn't
Phillips.
be Big Chili Ray, old Chili
Yes,
Willie.
yes. I have been wanting to branch out, not only just the movies, but to catch a couple of TV shows in if I can. And I thought, what better TV show than my all-time favorite, which is The Dukes of Hazzard, and that's most likely going to be the episode after this. And if I
Heck
cannot
yeah.
get the first person that I reached out to, then Ray is going to step in and be my co-host on that show, and we'll see how that goes from there. Most likely, it's going to be him though. But
Right on. I like it.
today we have decided to, since Travis is back, we're going to take a little fallback to what we were doing quite a bit of back in the first season with our
Hmm.
top
Hmm.
with our top five list. Now,
Yeah, yeah. When you told me that the day that you opened us up another decade, this had to be the show that my return came with. It had to be.
yes, I had to open up another decade. I was reading online, and I'm looking for different things to come up with new ideas and everything. What we can do for shows going forward, and a lot of my shows going forward are probably going to be movie review type shows where we watch the movie, then we break it down and we do the little tidbits of trivia and fun facts and stuff. But I mean, top
Hmm.
fives and top tens are always fun to do.
Hmm.
And when I got to looking, it was talking about how from the years 2000 to 2009 have people officially referring to it as retro, and they're saying that it's even though it's only a little over 10 years old now, we're looking at retro for that decade. And I thought, well, that's awesome because now I can bring up the Hobbits, I can bring up the Harry Potters, I can bring up you
Yeah,
know the Star Wars prequels if I want to. I can
yeah.
go with whatever I want from that
We
area
can get
now.
in. We can get into what is arguably the best run of Batman.
Yes, absolutely, and that's definitely something that I would like for one day. To have a Dark Knight show. That was my favorite of the bunch was Dark Knight. Uh,
I think everybody's going to agree with you on that one.
yeah, so I mean that's one day we'll get to it one day. But as of right
Absolutely.
now tonight, we're doing a top five. Now this is not 100% guaranteed our top five favorites of the decade. The way I've listed this is we're each going to pick five great movies from the 2000s, okay, from
Hmm.
the early 2000s. I label it that way because it makes it a little bit easier because it's so hard to say these are my five favorites over anything else.
Right,
But
because like I told you, even with us doing this is just narrowing it down to five is so hard when you
it
when
is.
you really realize what all's in that decade.
It is. It's very hard. It's very hard. And I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna go ahead and go first because I feel like since you abandoned me for this thing called a job.
Right? What is
I
that?
mean, a job. Who needs a
A
job?
job? Who wants money?
I mean,
What's
who
that
needs some
about?
money? I mean, you tell me you don't own everything in the world already. You got to have
Right?
money.
Yeah. You
So
gotta have
I
all
mean,
the streaming services so you can watch all these movies.
Hey, dude, you only got like 15 cars in your driveway and 8 garages and
Yeah,
all this. So what? Like
yeah.
whatever.
I would like to have some garages. But let's go. Let's see what's first up on your list, Chris.
Well, I decided that I was going to go first because I've got
Chris list.
this movie that I want to pick, and I want to make sure that you don't steal it. So I made sure that
Okay.
there's one thing you couldn't do, and I'm going to tell you what it was. There's a wise wizard that once said,
You shall not pass!
and you, sir, shall not pass by me and take this out from under me. So I am going with the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. And I went with this because this is what started it all. This is what started with Peter Jackson, started all the greatness that we come to love with Middle Earth in the 2000s. Now, that didn't mean that it started everything for real, because we know the Hobbit cartoon and Lord of the Rings and all that back in the day, and then the book was written a long time ago and everything. It's not like it's new information. But for us watching movies, this movie brought to film was one of the best things that could have happened to some of us, in a long
Amen.
time.
I cannot second that emotion more. And it's funny that was your first pick. I'm gonna take that pick off of mine, because my pick was Lord of the Rings, but one of my picks was mine was the Two Towers, because I figured we would overlap.
Well, it's okay.
I'm gonna take it off and leave. Yeah, but I want to make that an since everybody knows that's going to be my first one. But I'm going to agree with you. You did good on that one too, because that would have been my very first pick.
I had to,
like
man.
you said, those movies, dude, man, and everything that they came out with too, with everything that it prompted. I've got the I used to have. I need to get them back, but I've got the used to have the goblets from Burger King that lit up. With the collectibles as far as the swords go from Toledo Sword Company, and man, everything that it did for putting a face to all of those, and bringing the written word, our literature, and the way that we take in our literature has changed so much. And I told my wife that I've gotten into audiobooks lately. I don't have time to read, but I've gotten into audiobooks, and even just the audiobooks, it expands your mind so much, because your mind, they're describing this, they're painting this picture, and you're envisioning it in your brain, and it makes it's exercise. It's exercise for your mind. But on the flip side of that coin, the way that, we take in media these days, it's just so crazy cool to have that come to life. And whether it was the way you pictured it or not, it had to be close, because Tolkien did such a great job of explaining, the backstory of every leaf on every branch.
Yeah, I mean, you felt like you were a part of the Shire.
Yeah, man.
Hey, as far as that goes, you felt like Bree was a second home to you from the Shire.
Absolutely. And we wanted to go hang out at the Prancing Pony, or I wanted to go see Rohan. I wanted to go be one of the horse people in Rohan when I was young. I mean, of course, we all wanted to be like either we wanted to be one of the Fellowship, Aragorn or Legolas or somebody, maybe even a Hobbit, but it's just, man, timeless.
And think of these names. I mean, the names that were in the movie: Christopher Lee, Kate Blanchett, Viggo Mortensen, Andy Serkis, Billy Boyd, Sean Astin, Sean Bean.
I actually have a movie on right now that has John Rhys Davis in it.
Yeah.
who played Gimli and Treebeard.
It's probably one of those Indiana Jones movies.
No, actually, but it's close. It's King Solomon's Mine from 1985.
Alex
Quartermain or Alan Quartermain. It's a Quartermain movie.
Yeah, Alan Quartermain.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and then you got a random Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood playing Frodo. I mean, this thing was loaded
Andy
with talent.
Serkis. What has it dude? That movie gave us Andy Serkis, and Andy has gone on to do so much. He was him and the guy that played Abe. I know his name too, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the guy that played Abe in Hellboy, him and Andy Serkis are like the two major mocap actors, of the past 30 years, man. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He was Caesar on all of the Planet of the Apes movies, and
Right.
I mean, like he's done a lot of producing and directing since too. Like Andy is amazing.
Yeah, and you know, one of my favorite parts about movies when we're giving the fun facts out, I always fall back to the box office and everything. The movie was 2 hours and 58 minutes long, but there is, so everybody knows, an extended version of each movie with the scenes that were cut out, and those are well worth the purchase, well worth the watch. Even though you get to the last movie and it's no longer 4 hours and 15 minutes, it's 4 hours and 45 minutes. It's still well worth the watch. So,
and you get so much with it too. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like there's so much story that you get with it.
Yeah, so, there's so much stuff left out of the books. They couldn't get everything from the books in the movie. So, and a lot of people felt they were robbed in a sense. Some people felt robbed that they didn't get certain things, and they tried to fit them in with the deleted scenes, re-edited back in, and you still didn't get something from the Fellowship of the Ring. Like you still didn't get Tom Bombadil. You still didn't.
That's the one that my little brother complains about all the time, and it's so funny that I was just explaining Tom 2 days ago, and I was telling people. So in the novels, Tom Bombadil is basically Tolkien putting himself into the novel. So Tom inside the novel versus inside of the movies, I feel like leaving him out was perfectly fine just because of the fact that while he did play a major role in the novels, he was more of a side note. He was more of a filler entertainment type thing. Let's show how powerful this character is versus, it'd be like putting Stan Lee himself into a Marvel movie.
And if you think about it,
without that.
If you think about it, the Tom Bombadil portion of the book really didn't fit with the story that Peter Jackson was telling.
No, and it was completely. It would have been right. It would have been a complete, weird thing. There was one scene. Okay, so like Boromir's death, that it doesn't happen in the book. So they added some things in the movies too that weren't in the book that I feel like made it work so much better. Like I said, Boromir's death, where he told Aragorn that he would have followed him to the end, and he called him his king finally. And that was such a powerful moment for me in the movie. That wasn't in the book.
Right. And now this movie, 93 million estimated budget. Do you remember how much the movie grossed worldwide?
Oh my God, like 300 million, 300
times 3.
Times 900 million.
898 million, $94,742.
Golly. It must have been 300 million local.
That is something. Oh yeah, well yeah, gross U.S. and Canada 316,115,000.
Hey, I was close. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly, that's what you were thinking. So, what about you? As far as taking 5 movies from that time frame, what is one movie you want to throw out there first for you on your pick?
Okay, I'm going to throw this one out there first because you can't. I just can't. This was the first, aside from Lord of the Rings, this was the very first movie that came to my mind, and I wish I had a clip for you to where you could hear him say, "Are you not entertained?" Gladiator, man. Gladiator came out in the year 2000 with Russell Crowe. Yep. This movie was so incredible. Joaquin Phoenix and his hair lip played the evil prince or whatever. And, not to make fun of people with hair lips, but it's, you know what I mean? But Marcus, what was it? Maximus Decimus Aurelius. Was that its name? Is that was that all of it?
I believe that's it. I believe it sounds
Maximus Decimus Aurelius.
It's been a while since I've seen it, although I did see a clip from it just the other day. It's funny you bring that up, but I have not watched the entire movie in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I remember when it came out, man, the cinematography was just so beyond anything we'd seen at the time. You know what I mean? That beginning where they did the big war scene with the Gauls coming out of the woods, and then they had the oil that they set on fire, and just like this gritty battle was just so, man, above what was going on at the time. And then the story was there, and it's fairly historically accurate. They show how the gladius was given when a gladiator won his freedom, and they showed some of the political stuff that was going on at the time, and it was just supremely entertaining. Like Russell Crowe was an instant, just total BA after that, man. It's like you put Russell Crowe in a movie after Gladiator, you're making money.
And he did go on to have a lot more great films beyond
Oh,
Gladiator.
absolutely. A Beautiful Mind, and um, shoot, he was golly bum. I can't even think. He's got one out right now that I want to see. I think it's got something to do with road rage. I can't remember the name of it. It might be the name of it. But he actually he was in another one of my top recommended movies that people watch even if they don't like musicals, and that's Les Mis. And he sang in it. Like, he tried so hard. I had respect for him.
A lot of people that you don't know can sing. They get in these things and they just belt them out like you wouldn't believe. I didn't know that Hugh Jackman was any type of singer.
Oh yeah, and he can go. He can blow, man. He can
Yeah,
blow.
then,
He did.
I know.
I think he started that in, what was it? That movie Australia, I think, was the first one that he did, and then he did Les Mis.
I don't. Well, I know he was in the movie The Showman because my daughter loves that movie.
Yeah, he did The Showman. Oh, was that? Oh no, that was dang it, Ewan McGregor. I was thinking of Moulin Rouge, but that was Ewan McGregor.
Oh, okay.
But back to our movie. So we had a budget of $103 million, which I guess explains why we had such great cinematography. Because that's a rather large estimated budget.
You got to spend that money somewhere.
That's it. So I would say it was successful though, because it grossed worldwide 465,380,000 and change
You can't beat
at
that.
2 hours and 35 minutes. So that was
you can't beat that.
no doubt, no doubt. Well, what are we going at your number two?
Well, I've got no more clips to play, so I'm not going to go that route any longer. Just so everybody knows.
Okay.
My number two is from 2008, and
Okay.
this is a movie that started, or is what they
I
say.
think I know what it is.
I know you know what it is. This is what they say started it all. That's what they say, and everybody who knows me knows I am a fan of the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2008, we got Robert Downey Jr. doing the first Iron Man movie.
There you go.
I had to go with this one. I mean, I had to go with it because, I mean, while Iron Man, the first movie, is not exactly my favorite Marvel movie, probably not in my top 3 favorite Marvel movies.
You got to pull it off the significance.
It's still within the time frame of 2000, 2009, and it is, like I said, what started it all. It was a little bit rough for how we get used to seeing Iron Man look later down the road, all the way down into Endgame, because the suits he has at that point, I believe, are all nanotechnology.
Nanotech, yeah.
So, I mean, he just pulls a zipper on a coat, or he pulls his drawstrings out, and the suit pops up out of nowhere. Takes some glasses off or something. Now his suit's here just growing on him or whatever.
Yeah,
it's crazy how it goes. But
RDJ is Tony Stark. In my mind, I cannot see anyone else as Tony Stark. When he came out, and the facial hair, like everything, the way he talked, the way he acted, was like Tony Stark walked off the pages of the daggum comic, dude.
It felt that way.
It was as good. Him and Chris Hemsworth, I think, are like the two best castings from the pages of the book. It's just incredible.
Yes. And I think it's Adam Carolla. I want to say it was Adam Carolla. Has asked him, would he come back if the fans demanded it enough? Would Robert Downey Jr. come back and reprise the role of Iron Man? And he said, why? He says, wouldn't you just look at it and go, oh, really? Why? Because you've gone through all this trouble to build him up. And then he has this wonderful scene. Spoiler for people who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I don't claim you. But spoiler for people. He finally becomes that person that Captain America told him he would never be. He would never be the person to lay down his life for anybody else. He wouldn't fall on that.
And it's so perfect. I'm with him 100% on that. It's so perfect, and we've got so much other things in the works now too. We don't need Tony anymore. He was a heck of a leader. What I would like to see RDJ do is go back and do some more daggum Sherlock Holmes movie. I want to see what comes after him and Moriarty go over the damn cliff.
Well, I mean, there's always a possibility of doing more of those. Obviously, he needs more films to do, and maybe he wants something new altogether, or maybe you never know what he
Yeah,
might do. I mean, as far as Marvel goes, he may come back eventually, and what I think is just a Marvel would just be a new thing
maybe
only.
since we're doing the multiverse stuff and Disney owns both
Yes.
companies, he can come back as a Force ghost.
Oh, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
There we go.
Or since there is a multiverse, he could be a Tony Stark in another multiverse. But get this,
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
not. You get this, he's not Iron Man. He's just Tony Stark.
Yeah, we could do all kind. There's all
And
kind of ways
they
I
could
could
bring
go.
it in. They could bring him in to be the new voice of instead of Jarvis or Friday.
Wouldn't that be something?
He could be the new voice because supposedly, he downloads his thoughts, his brains or whatever, his intellect, into a system, and he can be
Right.
like the new Jarvis, talking about directing, just directing the Avengers and what they need to do. There's no more Captain
Yeah.
America; he's gone. So, I mean, having a familiar voice and a familiar type person might bring a group like that closer together. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you never know. I don't know if they'll go that route or not. But back to the movie itself, like I said, started everything off. Not a terribly long movie, I don't think it was. Well, no, that's the wrong thing I'm looking at. 2 hours and 6 minutes, not terribly long, but I mean, just a good length of time. $140 million budget and gross worldwide $585,796,247.
Right.
So it was definitely something that was big in the sense that it started it all. It got the ball rolling. At the end of the movie, you got a end scene credit based on another movie, and which brought up another one, which led to another end credit scene, which brought up another movie, and they worked them all into one big group. And they did it right, and this started it all. So, back in your direction here, taking a second pick, which way would you go?
Let's see if I can get an audio going here. Let's see.
I suppose you deserve that one. No, that one doesn't.
Huh? Can you hear that one?
I don't
Maybe
think
not
I did.
at all.
No.
So anyway, that was the scene. That was the scene where old girl slapped Captain Jack, and young William
I
Turner
might have
asked him
deserved
if
that
he
one.
deserved that one. And he said, "No, I deserve that one."
Yeah, I might have deserved that one.
So my Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, man.
All right.
This movie was just so crazy, so cool. Adults, kids, everybody loved it. Everybody was running around trying to talk like Jack Sparrow. Like everybody fell in love with Keira Knightley all over again. All the ladies fell in love with Legolas again, as Will Turner. Yeah, Disney killed it, man. The ride's been at Disney since what? Since the place opened. The Pirates of the Caribbean, and then they make a movie based on the ride, and who would have thought? But this movie right here was just, man, it changed. It was another one of those game changer type things that just created not a cult. What do you call it? It created a pop culture movement.
Right.
Just insanity. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was watching it. Like, it was so good. It had a huge budget too. It had $140 million budget, and it did probably 4 to 5 times that. 4 times that.
And talk about being typecasted now.
Uh-huh.
Johnny Depp is just all he is Jack Sparrow now. And there was a threat.
I would argue that, to be honest, really, but I mean, I agree with you though, because now they like when he did the Mad Hatter, they're like, oh, he just kept flopping back and forth in between, but no, he didn't. He was doing a Scottish accent. I didn't hear Jack Sparrow that much in it, but so I mean, I guess you're right, yeah, because people.
Well, as far as what people know him as, if you were asked somebody, hey, you know who Johnny Depp is? They're like, Jack Sparrow? Yeah, I know who he is. I mean, if you ask me, who do I know who Johnny Depp is? Since I'm one of these retro people, my first thought is, I watched 21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street, him and Richard Grieco. But yeah, you know who Richard Grieco is, dog?
Richard Grieco, actually, well, he was there one season with him. He was brought in, if you remember, to kind of take Depp's place because Johnny Depp was leaving. So
Right.
Johnny Depp, if you think Johnny Depp had a partner, you would be thinking Peter DeLuise. That was
Yeah.
the one who played Pinhole in the show.
Right.
That was his partner in the show.
But yeah, you think of
when
Johnny Depp, man.
that,
I think of Benny and June and Edward Scissorhands and What's
Edward
Eating Gilbert
Scissorhands.
Grape.
Right.
What about What's Eating Gilbert Grape and The Secret Room and like, dude, golly bum, he's been in so many movies. There's a scary movie he did, I think called The Ninth Gate, that was really cool. It was it wasn't scary, but
he was a writer.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, he
So
was
Johnny-
in the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, he was. Johnny's one of the best actors of our time.
He's been
I would
around.
put him among
Definitely.
the best. And we also had Jeffrey Rush, who I love, playing Barbossa. Captain Barbossa, I felt like he was right there with Captain Jack Sparrow for me. I love Captain Barbossa, man.
Well, they had a lot of good names in that movie. You know,
Mhm.
that was in there. I mean, it was a great thing. They
No
had a
doubt.
good thing. Well, you had Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom in there with him as well.
Zoe Saldana.
No, she
Which
was
Zoe-
she was in the second one, I believe, wasn't she? Was she in the first one?
No, she was Anna Marie, dude. She's the one that slapped him.
Oh, she was. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He stole her ship. He's the one who stole her ship. She
Yeah.
ended up going on the actual trip with them, and they didn't. Mr. Gibbs.
Right,
didn't
she had a
want her 'cause she
minor
was bad
role.
luck.
She had a minor role in it. I guess you'd say she was kind of minor. And then at the end, my chick that played, oh my God, I was in love with her. People call me crazy too, but I can always pick them out, even when they're deep in makeup. But the one that played Calypso at the end,
Yeah.
like, I'm in love with her. I can't remember her name, but yeah, she's great too. I've seen her in some other stuff.
She looks completely different when you look at her out of makeup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean,
absolutely.
we should all expect that. No, we know it's not how she truly looks. But what I'm trying to say is when you see her out of makeup,
right.
you're like, wow, I would not have known. Unless you knew beforehand. You'll be like, I would never have known.
Yeah. Yeah, she's something else. I saw her in a cop movie not too long ago. But anyway, we're gonna run out of time here. We keep on playing around. We're only on number 3 for you, 2 for me.
Well, 3 for me. If we're gonna go this way, I'm gonna go ahead. I've got actually 2 more of my original 5 picked. I got to go to one of my backups because honestly, the Black Pearl was on.
Oh, I stole one too. Hey.
That was on. But like you said, we're gonna overlap.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have a
I'm
couple
going to go just in case you don't steal this one from me as well. I had to get this one. It's the best of the 3. It was had the best. I'm just gonna say it. At Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going for something different. You still haven't got the one that I was thinking yet.
No, I went with this one because to me, I'm a big Star Wars fan first and foremost. You know this.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of people, I did like the trilogies. Although I can agree with people that the Jar Jar Binks was unnecessary.
Yes.
I mean, but the 3rd installment of this, where you see Anakin turning to the dark side finally and becoming Vader, and seeing Obi-Wan and Anakin have their first major meeting, their first major fight when he has to go kill Anakin, and seeing Yoda break out with the lightsaber skills and his Force skills against the Emperor,
right,
and taking him on. This was just something as a Star Wars fan that you love seeing. You hate seeing the fact that some of the major Jedi from the Jedi Council are now wiped out, because you would think they would have lasted more, as wise and strong as they were. And some of them still lived and scattered amongst the galaxy. You find out later when you're watching things like Star Wars Rebels and things like that, some of the people that were still around. And so it was all around great and fun for me. The lightsaber battles were the best in this movie versus any of the others they had. I mean, you could take 4, 5, and 6 from years ago and take 1 and 2 and on top of it, and still this movie had the best of what they had.
I'll agree with that 100%. Because those lightsaber battles are just insane, just totally insane.
They're insane. And if you could see the original plan they had for some of the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, it was amazing what they cut out. They could have made such a better fight scene. They had incorporated a lot of force techniques in with it, like
Right.
Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan. I'm like you. I'm about to start coughing here. Obi-Wan throwing things at Anakin, and Anakin blocking it with ease and slinging it aside like he was weak to him.
Right. Yeah, it's
And by the way, anybody who has not seen the Obi-Wan series on Disney,
oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, if you hadn't seen it, you're really missing out.
No doubt. And I was so mad. I stayed mad at him until the last episode. I stayed so mad. I was loving it and hating it at the same time until the last episode, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. I can't elaborate on any of that, but
right. But I mean, you see an Obi-Wan that you've never seen before.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what makes it great to me and everything. So
it really was.
Revenge of the Sith, 113 million budget estimated, worldwide grossed 868,390,560. It almost caught Fellowship of the Ring there. 2 hours and 20 minutes long. But I mean, like the last 20 minutes of the movie is straight lightsaber fighting between Yoda and the Emperor and Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just like their story. I mean, with the last 5 minutes, I guess 15 minutes straight of it, and the last 5 minutes being, you know, what happens at the very, very end of them just going separate ways. But to me, that was a solid pick on some of the great movies in that decade. Let's jump to number three. Number three for you there, Travis.
So number 3 for me is going to end my last of the obvious movies, and this one may not be quite so obvious even. Lord, excuse me. But I'm going with one of the highest grossing, not of this decade, but one of the highest grossing box office movies of all time, period. Especially with the new one about to come out.
I know. I started saying I know where you're going.
Especially with the new one about to come out. You were going to get it.
I was going to do it, and I knew you would take it, so I left it off.
Oh, sweet. Heck yeah. So the new one's coming out real soon, and I have seen the trailer for it in IMAX and in 3D. So go watch it that way, definitely. With a budget, a large budget of $237 million, this movie grossed $2 billion. Billion with a B, like it's in boy. 2 billion, boy. 847 million. 339 estimated worldwide. That is James Cameron's Avatar. And this movie,
that was a great movie. That was
awesome. My God, dude, the way that they brought in the CGI had never done that before. CGI hadn't even come close to what that movie was before that movie. You know what I mean? And for anyone that listens to this that didn't see this movie at the time that it came out and know where special effects and graphics and things like this were at the time, this movie was so revolutionary and groundbreaking and just mind-boggling when it came out, and beautiful, gorgeous. Oh my God! And the story was amazing. Like everything about this movie was perfect.
The colors were so bright in the whole movie. It seemed like.
Oh my gosh, yes! And then at night when everything glows and like, dude, this movie. Like it borders being the perfect movie. It was mind-blowing special effects. It was a heartfelt story. It had action. It had some comedy. There were some scary moments in it where you thought people that you didn't want to die was going to die. Stephen Lang, who should have been Cable, I'll die on this hill. Stephen Lang as the bad guy was amazing, and he was great. It's like just Sigourney Weaver and. There again, Zoe Saldana. She voiced what was I can't remember the doggone name of what
I can't remember any of their names at all. I just remember I remember the movie, but names I don't remember.
Neytiri. It was Neytiri. It was Jake Sully and Neytiri. Those are the only 2 names I remember. Jake and Neytiri. So she voiced Neytiri, and yeah, it's just.
What else
what more can you say about it? Just slam out crazy movie.
I'll tell you what you can say about it. It opened the doors for the possibilities of making some movies you and I have discussed that they should be making and haven't yet. And we were talking about trying to do like a casting of the movie one day. But if they can make Avatar, they could make a movie about Thundercats.
Absolutely, we could have Thundercats 100% and make it look good and do it good, do it well.
Yes, they could. It opened, and not just Thundercats, but anything that was a cartoon that you liked growing up that you want to see on the big screen, and done well. They had the abilities, no doubt, since that time now to do these kind of things. Think about what they've done
and bring some realism to it too.
Exactly, between Avatar and Transformers.
Right.
I mean, how realistic you can make something.
100%. Oh, I have to throw this out there too. I am sitting here talking about how great the story is with Avatar, but I do have to mention that it is. Sorry, James. It is a total ripoff of the old school cartoon Fern Gully. I hate it, but it is. Like, kind of the whole story is. You know what I mean? The fairies and the dude getting turned down into the fairy, but you know.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I don't want to
right?
call it plagiarism or nothing, but you know. Yeah, you watch this movie and you're like, as an 80s baby, or you know, anyone who's seen Fern Gully, you're like, this feels really familiar. Nonetheless,
something oddly familiar to it. I mean,
I know, right? And even the scene, it's even got the scene in it where I haven't seen where James has just been like, yeah, we did some stuff, but you know, I think what they call them, Easter eggs. It seems like almost where, you know. They're throwing rocks at one of the pieces of machinery that comes through, and like that actually happens in Fern Gully as well. So it's like the exact same scene.
Yeah,
but which I'm totally cool with, because like I said, this is a spectacular movie. I cannot wait. My wife is chomping at the bit. This is one of her favorite movies of all time. And like I said, the new one coming out. When I first saw it, the commercial for it or the trailer for it, I saw it in the theaters, and I was like, man, that's a little disappointing. Like, it doesn't look as good as I was expecting it to. And then I took my son to see whatever movie we went and saw in 3D, and it was Jurassic Park. Actually, we went and saw it in 3D, and the trailer for this came on in 3D, and it was once again just mind-boggling. It was like, oh my god, we have to come watch this.
But it's going to be something that a lot of people are looking forward to, and it's probably going to do just as well. Well, I would hope it would do just as well. Hopefully, this is not one of those movies that goes back when you got a great first edition of it, and the second one comes in and just flops. Hopefully, that will not be the case. And if they don't come in with a strong story that's better than the first story, then a lot of people are going to be like, it's just more of the same, and you know, they're going to words are going to get out, and nobody will go watch it.
Right. And so I don't know if we could have, it would have to be a seriously special thing to capture that kind of box office gross, I would think, these days too. Cause you know, a lot of people are dependent on their streaming services. A lot of people aren't going to the movies, the COVID, and you know, but Regal has this thing too that I recommend to everyone. If get your Regal Cinemas card, you can pay between, I think it's like 15 or 16 and $30 a month somewhere. It's a subscription deal where you get, you can go watch free movies as much as you want. If you go to IMAX or you go to the ones that have no Super Savers, you get in for like $6. You get discounted tickets on, so if you take another adult, you always get matinee prices on them, and you can get free tickets for your kids. I think I get Connor into most movies for about $3 or $4. So that's totally worth looking into for anyone.
And not to mention, you build up points that go towards your snacks. I mean, popcorn.
Yes, I've got free popcorn. You get upgrades, and you even get free movie tickets.
Yes, I mean, as long as you keep building the points up, then you're going to be getting those free upgrades and tickets and such. It's definitely worth. I don't have the monthly deal yet because there hasn't been a lot come out lately that's had my interest.
I'll let mine lapse.
there's going to be a point soon to where I may go ahead and do it, and then I'll go watch 5 or 6 movies in a month and call it a win-win, because I would have spent a ton more money on those movies.
Yeah, by the time you go see your second movie, it's paid for itself. Yeah. Well, on to your number 4, Chris.
My number 4, I'm gonna go with my number 4 here as being one of the Harry Potter movies. Now, there's so many ways you can go with Harry Potter.
Mr. Potter.
As far as I don't remember when the very first Harry Potter, what year it came out, if it was a 2000 movie or not. But this particular movie I'm taking is 2007 Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I really loved the book when the book came out. It's so deep and in depth of what they do. The kids are coming of age to where they've learned so much in the magical world of spells and dueling and everything else, and now they can. It's not like they're in the first movie where they're just being rowdy and going to the castle and sneaking around with an invisibility cloak, and they're learning how to disarm somebody with the Expelliarmus or something, or or they tried to hit a funny spell to where he'll be vomiting slugs and it backfires on him or something. Like the one guy, I happen to think it was Ron, it happened to. But in this movie, things are really starting to get deep now. It's been rumored that Voldemort is back from the previous movie. Nobody wants to believe it or see it. The only people that believe it was Dumbledore and Harry, because Harry's seen it firsthand, and Dumbledore believes it's happened. And you get your first appearance now. Well, not your first. His first was at the end of the Goblet of Fire, but in this movie, you get more in depth with Voldemort now, and everybody sees it happening at the end of it. And there's the one big duel with Voldemort and Dumbledore that was great that everybody wanted to see, and we wanted to see a lot more. If you were a fan of it, you wanted a bigger, longer battle between the two. But what we got was outstanding to begin with, and good. So I mean, plus, like I said, you see the kids coming of age and getting so much more action to them, becoming more like adult and everything. I actually wanted to pick the last movie is what I wanted to pick. But I got to thinking this has much more meaning to it for me in the series of the movies, and we're only picking one from a series. So the other one was my backup in case you took this one.
I got you.
Since you didn't, I got this one here.
Heck yeah! I think it's a great pick.
Right, and Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. He'll always be known as Harry Potter. All three of these kids, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, everybody will know them forever as the kids from Harry Potter. I don't care what they do in life. That's what they are. Brendan Gleeson, that played Mad-Eye Moody, has been in so many other things in the past. But since Harry Potter, when I think of Brendan Gleeson, I think of two movies. I think of Lake Placid, because his role was so funny in it. To me, as a sheriff, sarcastic, kind of funny. But I think of him as Mad-Eye Moody. That's all I see.
Right. And see, I think of him. I can think of him in Gangs of New York. I can think of him, like you said, in Lake Placid. There's a new movie out with him and Colin Farrell in it that I really want to see. I can't remember the name of. I'll have to tell you about that one after the podcast. But it looks really hilarious. But that dude's been around a lot, and he's a great Scottish actor.
Yes.
This movie here,
this movie here, $150 million estimated budget. Like you mentioned earlier when you were guessing 300 million, that's what it grossed roughly in the U.S. and Canada, 292 million. But worldwide, this movie took in 942 million, $201,710, and it ran for 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Heck yeah. Yep, so, we all know Mr. Porter.
Mr. Potter. Well, let's hit number 4 for you.
That's actually a great segue into my number 4, because that way I can put on the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon with this. And so, because my number 4, I don't think you would consider it a box office success. It would be a minor success, I think you would say. But it has the late great Alan Rickman, who was of course Professor Snape, and then it has Timothy Spall, who plays Beetle in this movie, but I can't remember it's funny that I remember this movie so well, but I don't remember his name in the Harry Potter. But he was Ron's rat, the one that turned himself into the rat, the little ratty looking dude. So that was Timothy Spall.
That was Peter Pettigrew.
Peter Pettigrew, yes. So we have Peter Pettigrew, we have the Half-Blood Prince himself, and then we have a lady who I'm been head over heels in love with as long as I can remember, Miss Helena Bonham Carter, who was Bellatrix Lestrange. Mm-hmm. So we got Bellatrix Lestrange, all three. And then we go right back around to Mr. Johnny Depp. Oh, and we have Sacha Baron Cohen in this movie as well. Sweeney Todd. The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Sweeney Todd.
This movie, I have watched this movie. I can't even countless times. It's one that I'll put on to go to sleep to. I love it so much. As you know about me, I do one of my. I guess people would be taken aback by one of my. One of the types of things that I do love is musicals. I love musicals, man, and Sweeney Todd is just so great. It incorporates my horror. I'm a huge horror fan, so it incorporates my horror into just a really good story about love and loss. And dude, and then you got all the, you know what I mean, like Sweeney Todd in here singing. You got Helena Bonham Carter and Sacha Baron Cohen. They own this, or Sacha Baron Cohen was he played like a rival barber, and I was thinking they also play together in Les Mis, where they're a married couple that own a bar. So, but in this movie anyway, she's in love with Sweeney Todd. She makes the worst meat pies in London. So when he starts exacting his revenge on the townsfolk, they start cooking the bodies into her meat pies, and then her meat pies become the best-selling, most famous meat pies in London. So they're killing people and feeding those people to the masses of London. It's like, dude, it's so great. It's so great. And like I said, it's a mediocre success with a $50 million budget. I'm getting scrolled back down to my factoids here. $50 million budget, and it grossed worldwide like 153. So like I said, I feel like it's a mediocre success, but it's one of those that's kind of like a cult type thing. Like if you either love it, you know about it and you love it, or you don't know about it, or you do know about it and you hate it. There's no in between.
It never was one that I honestly, I'm trying to remember if I watched it the first time or if I just watched parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through.
It's magnificent, especially if you like, even if you just like weird stuff. If you just like, if you could call this a weird movie, like, man, that was weird, dude. But you know, so they start out basically just a quick overview. So him and his wife have a child. They live on the streets, and this powerful, I don't know actually what he's called, but we'll call him a governor, basically takes everything from Sweeney. He thinks that his wife's dead. He thinks he murdered her. And so he leaves town and comes back, and come to find out this governor has taken his daughter. He's become her benefactor, and he's wanting to basically to raise her and her to marry him, and she ends up falling in love with this dude and trying to run off. And then it's like I said, he goes through exacting revenge on all the people that contributed to him getting ran out of town and not being able to be with his love. Maybe it was him and the governor were in love with the same girl. I said I watched this 100,000 times, and I can't tell you the story accurately, but you know how my brain works. But yeah. Like I said, it's a great story, and the movie is it's like, if you like Tim Burton too, I think Tim Burton's involved with it. So, I mean, if you like stuff like that, you'll love this movie.
All right. Well, I'm trying to determine for number 5. I got 3 choices left here I can go with.
Okay.
Because I had some backups, right? I went ahead and got rid of a couple.
Well, we'll
go
through and we got to go through and let everybody know what our backups / honorable mentions were.
Honorable mentions. Well, I've already gotten rid of them off the screen, but I know what they were though. But for my last one, I kind of want to go different from what you're going, and I have a feeling what you're going to take for your last one.
Mm-hmm. I think you're going to be wrong. I think my last one's going to come out of left field to you.
It just might. I might be surprised. I think what I'm going to do, because I was a fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and you did get the Curse of the Black Pearl before I could get to it. But I really did like At World's End.
Yes,
I thought it had a great story to it. It was fun. There was so much action to it, and the way it worked out in the end, it's always like Jack Sparrow always has something that's in the back of his mind. You don't know where he's going with. Like, you think the story is going a certain direction, and he's gonna take care of himself, and before you know it, he's already helped somebody else instead.
Yeah.
And this is where Pirates of the Caribbean stopped for me. I did not care for the one where they thought they found the Fountain of Youth or whatever it was.
Yeah, wasn't that's the one that had Ian McKellen in it? Or not?
No,
Not Ian McKellen. Ian Swearinger off of Doggone Deadwood. He played Blackbeard.
Blackbeard. Yes.
Yeah.
And had
And
his
then
daughter.
Dead Man. Yeah, I don't like Penelope Cruz anyway. I think she looks like she smells like bologna.
Oh, that'll be in my mind all
I
night
hate
now. That'll be in my
You're
mind all
welcome for
night
that.
now.
Hey, I can't do a show without getting one out there.
But I particular version of it. It was a good story. Like I said, you get the big battle at the end with all the ships, and it's just I don't know how to explain it any more in depth than that. I mean, it had a good cast. It still kept going forward. You know,
Right.
you got of course Johnny Depp, of course. Orlando Bloom has reprised his role again now as him being the new Davy Jones.
Right.
Over the ship. Keira Knightley back in it. Jeffrey Rush in it as Barbosa. You know, you got Jack Davenport as Norrington in there still.
Yep. We had all the original crew. It was all the OGs back together.
Right, all the original crews together. Kevin McNally is Gibbs. Now, Stellan Skarsgård, I didn't realize Stellan Skarsgård was Bootstrap Bill, but now that I think about it, it is. I can see it now. When now I go back and look at it in my mind, I can see that. So it says here now, are you sure when you said of Zoe Saldana playing in the first one?
I thought I could have swore she was
Is the character's name is the character's name Tia Dalma?
Tia Dalma. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Because Naomi Harris plays in this movie as Tia Dalma, and it kind of looks like the girl who was in the crew.
I'm not sure about that one.
I'm not 100% sure myself. That's why I was asking if you knew.
Let me quickly cross-reference with IMDb, the International Movie Database, who I consider to be the ultimate authority on all things.
While you were cross-checking,
I've already got it pulled up.
Okay. What you got?
All right. Yes, Zoe Saldana played Anna Marie in the first movie, and she is definitely, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and she's definitely the girl that slapped him.
Okay, so Anna Maria is the name of the person from the crew then, okay. I don't know who this other person is supposed to be then, who Tia Dalma is.
Tia Dalma. I'd have to see her. What movie are we on?
This is at World's End. It says here, now Jack Barbosa, Will Elizabeth, Tia Dalma, and crew must call the Pirates Lord from the four corners of the globe. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh, that's man. That's not the girl, the woman that we were talking about earlier, is it?
Probably, but I know her as Calypso. I don't remember her name as the witch. So it could be her. If her name's Tia Dalma as the witch.
It's her. I just clicked on the name Tia Dalma, and that's what it's showing.
Okay, then yes.
That's her.
Yeah.
Can't believe I didn't pick up on
Yes,
that.
Naomi Harris. Yes.
I did not pick up on it. I can't believe that.
Yes,
all right,
I love her.
That being said,
she was in Skyfall too. She was in 007 Skyfall.
Yes. So that being said, this movie here, budgeted $300 million. That's a large budget for a film. $300 million.
Budget.
It did do well though. I mean,
they did a lot with it too.
Well,
they did a lot with it.
They did, but they made $960,996,492. 2 hours 49 minutes long, almost a 3-hour movie. But if it was 3 hours, I still would have watched it. It was a great movie, and that right there is going to wrap up my 5. Let's get your 5th one out there.
I'm going to round out my top 5. What I call my best friend / little brother / son would choke me if I didn't do this. Is Bobby Del Grey, who I had a hand in raising. He'd choke me if I didn't pick this as one of my top 5. And I'm surprised that neither one of us went with the Dark Knight. I pushed that over to my backup.
Okay,
So shouts out to Dark Knight.
I did not take it a moment ago because I thought that was going to be your fifth, and I was going to leave it for you.
I knew you were going to be. I knew you were going to be surprised because this one is. I didn't know where it was going to place, but I knew it was in here the whole time. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I remember as being an old school, just being an old school martial arts fan, being an old school daggum these types of movies fan. Crouching Tiger came out, and this movie, and it's a toss up and it's not even a toss up. House of a Thousand Daggers is right there with it as far as visuals, and it also stars the little girl that played in Memoirs of a Geisha and played in this and played Jin in this. Zhang or Zhao Zhang or something. I don't know how to say her name. I'm not going to try anymore. But but anyway,
Xing Shang
Xiao Xiao. But the love story between Li Mubai and Yushu was just gut wrenching, and it went to show too, like how they held honor as supreme. Like, one's honor and their strength of character was just supreme in this society. And that goes for most of the Asian societies too. Like, in Japan and China and Vietnamese, all of this culture is just, for respect from her dead husband, who was his friend, they've been in love with each other since forever, but they never would even admit it to themselves or to one another until Li Mubai is, on his deathbed, out of respect for her dead husband, who died like 30 or 40 years ago. So it's like, if you guys would have just, so you got that gut wrenching thing going on. You got Jen wanting to come up and be, she's wanting revenge for her dead mom, and she's wanting to, you just got all this stuff. The Jade Fox coming in. Li Mubai, she gets the sword, the Green Destiny, which is supposed to be able to, it's like the Excalibur of their area, I guess. And then you see Li Mubai pick up a piece of a bamboo stick and just make her look like a fool. She's got the Green Destiny, and he's got a piece of bamboo, and he just makes her look like a fool. We watched this movie over and over and over again. It grossed 17 million. It budgeted 17 million. I don't know if the exchange rate is active on that, but I don't know if that's yen or dollars. I'm going to say it's dollars.
Probably dollars.
Yeah, it grossed 213 million plus worldwide. So I'd say it did pretty well. And it brought a lot to Michelle Yeoh, who's been doing martial arts movies since the 70s, and it kind of, I think here on stateside, it really brought her a lot of attention. And now she's in the Marvel universe, and she just put a new movie out that I haven't watched yet called Everything Everywhere All at Once that looks pretty cool.
Yep.
Chow Yun-fat, it brought some more. I think Chow had some success over here earlier. It just kind of brought him back around. You know what I mean? And then that girl, like I said, she had House of a Thousand Daggers, and then Memoirs of a Geisha, which is also, it's not a hooker movie. If you're listening and you're wondering, it's not a hooker movie at all. Not what the movie's about. The movie's actually about dedication, loyalty, and love, and it is an amazing. I watched that movie and I was like, I need a chick like that. Like, that's the woman we all need in our life. You know what I mean?
But thank you for clearing that up for us. That it was not one of those.
Yeah, it's not what you think it is when you first see the name of it. Because we all think geishas. We think it's a hooker movie.
Yeah,
but that's not at all what it is.
I'm going to tell you something now that I hear that as your fifth movie, and we were talking about moving on to honorable mentions and backups and everything. I will say it's a surprise to me that neither one of us took a Stallone movie like Rocky Balboa or Rambo. And
you know what? I almost did take one of those. I edged it out. Bruce edged him out. It's really Ensemble, one of my backups. I think probably what would have been my first take as a backup.
What was your, now? We're not going to break the backups down, but what was your other backups?
My other backups, I had Zombieland, and then I had Dark Knight, the Batman movie, and then I had Sin City. And I had another one. Yeah, I love Sin City. Love Sin City. And then I had another one. I can't remember. Could not remember for the life of me what it was. Oh, I remember what it was. I remember what it was. And the reason why I picked it and the reason why I just shoved it back to a backup was because it's not, in my opinion, one of the best movies, but the profound effect that it had on people and for a small amount of time, the positive impact that I saw on our society, in particular here in America, was The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah,
I saw it. It had a big impact, there for a little while until everybody just started running with the devil again.
Yeah, everybody has that thought that they can get right for a little bit, then they can go wrong for a while and be okay forgiven.
Right.
So shame on them, sinners.
Sinners. What were your backups?
I had The Dark Knight as a backup as well, only because I left it for you as pick number 5. Otherwise, that would have been my 5th pick.
Heck
and,
yeah.
Because I originally had Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean, and you took it. So, like I said, I went ahead and went with that.
So then we definitely had some overlap there because I figured you were going to pick. When you said Iron Man, in my mind, I was thinking you were about to say The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Now, I my original backups were At World's End, Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's see.
Y'all, excuse me for coughing so much tonight.
Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, because that was my favorite of them all because of the battles that were in it.
Right.
But like I said, Fellowship of the Ring started it all and introduced us to everything, so it has a lot of significance to it. I took Super Troopers because man, that was a hilarious movie.
Dude, that's one of the funniest movies ever.
And then I took Anchorman as a backup in case you had
Ron
a bunch
Burgundy,
of
nice.
Because that was a good comedy. I didn't really have any comedies of my 5, and I left the comedies off my 5 because that decade to me had so many better action and other type movies than they did comedies. Comedies weren't quite as abundant that I liked, although you had like Super Troopers and you had like Beer Fest.
Oh man, you had Dodgeball.
Dodgeball.
The Hangover came out in 2009, bro.
I thought that was 2010, so I didn't pick it.
Was it 2010? It may have been. It's close.
I didn't look it up because I was in my mind it was 2010, and I had other picks I wanted. Now, honestly, now that I forgot about Dodgeball, believe it or not, if I had remembered,
if you can dodge a rich, you can dodge a dodgeball.
hey, if I had remembered that, I would have put Dodgeball in over that Pirates of the Caribbean movie I just added to it.
Dodgeball was great, dude.
I did like it. That was awesome. That was
nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
That's right. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball. You can dodge traffic. You can dodge a ball.
Was Along Came a Polly during that time too?
It may have been. Ben Stiller had his little streak of movies there for a while that he did so well with.
Along Came a Polly was great too. Yeah, we're gonna have to break this down further because you just opened up a whole new decade for us in this.
And there'll be a lot more movies that are gonna get broken down. Look, we could have done this entire episode on just Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship.
Any one of those movies, really.
Really, and I would have been just as happy. But when you
can do an episode per movie for Lord of the Rings.
I know. When you said you wanted to do though a top 5, I thought, well, you've been here in a while. Top 5. Yeah, we'll do a top 5. And if you happen to make it back anytime soon, then the next time we do one, we'll break one down.
The great news is too, as I was just bragging to Tasha earlier, right before we got on, I was showing off me having my headset plugged into my phone and everything, and it just works out with the audio quality well enough. And since we're not so focused on, or since you're not so focused on video anymore, this opens up a whole new. It opens up my schedule. You know what I mean? Like I can hop on and be in a little bit more often like this.
Yeah, I mean, and video. Well, honestly, I never was 100% wanting to do the video.
Right.
I thought video was more your thing you wanted to do because you thought YouTube's
Yeah.
such a big thing and everything now. But the
Yeah.
thing is, and that's the reason why we took StreamYard was for the video we could do.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that being said, we had the bottom line is there was a lot of great movies in every decade, and the 2000s was no different than the 80s or the 90s or the 70s. We just had different styles of movies, different stars for the decades that made our decade. When you think action movies, we know in the 80s action movies was all Arnold and Stallone and Norris.
Yeah.
And then
And
you go to the
Lundgren.
90s and you're looking at Van Damme, you're looking at Seagal. You
Yeah.
get to the 2000s, now we're looking at Jason Statham, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Vin
Statham,
Diesel.
man.
Vin
Yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah, and see,
You know
I
what?
purposely
There's something
left
right
Fast
there.
and Furious off. I would if I picked
Yes.
a movie that from Vin Diesel, it would not be Fast and Furious. It would be Pitch Black, and then the Riddick that followed.
See, I would have went Fast and Furious if I had thought about it. There's so many out there that's so hard to narrow down. But Fast and Furious is one of my favorite franchises, but it got so far out of whack and ridiculousness that it has taken a huge step backwards to other movie franchises.
Right. And if we were to do one that was to focus solely on, maybe most impactful or something like that, or I guess you'd say the greatest, the overall greatest or something, I might would consider putting Fast and Furious in that list, but not in my top 5.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this show up. We're at minute 7, and Travis, it was great having you back on again. Everybody a lot of people have asked me, believe it or not, what happened to your co-host?
We almost made it through a whole episode. We almost did it. We're not at minute 7. We're at hour 7.
That's it. Oh my gosh.
We almost did it, dude.
You guys can't see me, but I'm hiding my face right now.
Oh, that's our MO, baby. We're good to go.
If there's a joke about where locally where I live about that boo-boo I just made, but nobody will get it but me. So anyway, 1 hour, 8 minutes now we're into it, and I'll manage to cut down about 30 seconds or so of this in the ultimate end, but anyway, Travis, once again, people have been asked about you. I'm glad you were able to come back on for an episode here so people can hear your voice again. And we will get some more episodes in here eventually. There'll be a multiple amount of people this season, guest hosting, because we're going to go on week to week. You're not going to hear my voice rambling on by myself. I can't do that. I'm not. I don't have that ability to do, people. So.
Well, it was great to hop back in. I've been missing doing this too. It's not like I don't want to do it, or it's just I have not. I've been crazy busy. I have not had the time to dedicate to it. But like I said, I will be back more often, especially since we're on an audio format. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, it's like we've said 100 times over before. Real life comes before podcast. Podcast is second, and we'll go from there. So
until y'all start hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends, and we can start doing something with this.
Yeah, that's right. Share this thing, man. Get some more people involved. I tell you what, we don't do the video anymore. It's strictly audio. Listen to us on your ride into work. Listen to us while you're working out. When you're bored at night and there's nothing on TV,
put us on to go to sleep.
Pop in your AirPods. Listen to us while you're sitting around the house or something, or sitting out in the yard. I mean,
use your Echo Show.
We tried to be entertaining.
Echo Show. That's it. You can pull up your Echo Show and just be like, "Hey, Alexa or Siri, if you got a home, an Apple Home, just be like, put on the Retro Life for You podcast."
That's right. And while you're there and you're listening to us, be a pretty cool person, and give us a review and a rating and everything, because Spotify and Apple will allow you to give us a big 5-star rating. Even if we're not a 5-star person, you can give us a 5-star rating out of pity, I mean, hey, we take pity ratings here. We're not too good for a pity rating, all right? But, in all seriousness,
one rating a week is not going to sprain your thumb.
That's right. In all seriousness, we do appreciate everybody who listens to us every week, and keep doing what you're doing, passing this on to people. Like it, share it. We're on social media at Facebook. We've got Instagram. We've got those are the two main places you're going to see us. I mean, I've got a TikTok thing. I throw things on there some as well for fun. based on what we do here as a podcast. And if you want to reach out to us, retrolifeforyou@gmail.com, or you can go to Anchor where we're currently at, and you can actually leave a message on there in either text or audio format if you want, like a voicemail. That being said, Travis, we hope to hear you back on here again soon one day. And until that time comes, adios, everybody.
Later.